Okay, so now we move into the American section of the paper, USA 1919 to 41. Now then, we have a source here, marching for the NRA, okay? And it says, how useful is this source for a historian studying the New Deal? Use the source and your own knowledge to explain your answer. So let's see what the mark scheme actually wants then. It wants us to explain for the top level why it's useful, why it's not, and use some knowledge about the New Deal and about what the NRA was trying to do to get the top mark, okay? So in a way it says both sides of level 4. Alright, so let's look, why is this source useful? It's useful for historians to the New Deal as it shows an important aspect of the New Deal, the NRA. Alright, it shows the leaders of industry are prepared to follow the instruction of the NRA as it says we are doing our part. Alright, it has been looked on approvingly by the President, we can see him there. Alright, and the NRA encouraged the development of an employment code which, if accepted, allowed them to display the blue eagle and be favoured by the government when contracts were awarded. So the blue eagle is a sign, and actually, can we see? Yeah, I think we can. We can see the blue eagle in the background there, and we can see lots of different people in the crowd here going along to support the NRA, following the drum, as it were. Okay. However, we need to also add that it is not very useful, okay, because it does not tell us that within 3 weeks of his inauguration, Roosevelt had set up a number of alphabet agencies such as the CCC, the AAA, and acts like that, okay, as well as the Banking Act, alright. So when it says useful for historians studying the New Deal, my big concern with it is that actually it only reflects one aspect of the New Deal, okay, that being the NRA, which is clearly an important aspect, but however, yeah, it only affects one area. Here work was provided for the CCC, and then we give an example, and that's a nice little touch. Pick one of the other alphabet agencies that are not mentioned in the source. That's always the case. You get a source on anything like this. Pick one of the other ones, alright, and then tell the examiner a little bit about it. So here work was provided for unemployed young men, a whole range of environmental projects in the countryside, which helped to reduce soil erosion. Many did criticise this for being forced labour. So what we've got is, if we've done both the things here, tick that, we've got ourselves 6 marks. Why is it useful? Why is it not? And we've used some knowledge to get into that top band. Okay, top mark. Okay, this is our second source. Study source C. What is the message of this cartoon? Use details of the cartoon and your own knowledge to explain your answer. So we can see, look, that for 5 marks, we've got to identify the main message of the cartoon. Alright, and I'll put that in. Normally I just look at the top levels, but sometimes I find that people forget to do that. They look straight to level 5 and 6, and they forget to say what the main message of the cartoon is, alright? So, the message of the cartoon is that Roosevelt has not been allowed to rescue the USA, alright? There we have the Sea of Depression, there, the Sea of Depression, okay? He's in the boat for national recovery, and it's saying the illegal act, but the Supreme Court says I must drown you, okay? So the main message is that Roosevelt has not been allowed to save America. Yeah, great. Now then, let's move into the top marks, alright? Details of the cartoon or by contextual knowledge. So here the word and has replaced or, so we need to get details of the cartoon and contextual knowledge. So we always need to pick out things that we can see, but then we also need to say what we know to add to it, okay? So the message of the cartoon here, alright, is that Roosevelt has not been allowed to rescue the USA, as he is shown pushing Uncle Sam back into the water, which is labelled depression, rather than allowing him onto the boat labelled national recovery. Again, depression, national recovery, there's Roosevelt, okay, and he's having to drown Uncle Sam. You can see the stars on his thing. If you put drown America, that would also be okay, yeah? So that's the details from the source, and that's getting us 6 marks. Now, the other side of this, to do with that, to get us up to 7, is to think about what we know about it. The main message of the cartoon is that Roosevelt has not been allowed to rescue the USA, as the Supreme Court has decided that an important part of the New Deal is illegal, unconstitutional. The court has declared that the National Recovery Administration was illegal. This followed a case against the Schlechter Poultry Corporation, who had been found guilty of breaking NRA regulations. The court ruled that the NRA illegal, and Roosevelt thought the New Deal may have to be abandoned. Several times, also, with different aspects, the Supreme Court rules what Roosevelt is trying to do to be unconstitutional, okay, to be favouring one aspect over another, and that's what's wrong with this. If you're saying, well, NRA businesses, by displaying the blue eagle, doing what we've said for the employers and employees, if we're going to give them preferential treatment, well, the Constitution says that's not allowed, and the Supreme Court steps in to stop that. Now, we know that the Supreme Court is packed with Republicans who are against what Roosevelt is trying to do. We know that Roosevelt tried to pack the Supreme Court with his own supporters. That didn't go down very well either. All right. So clearly, this story about the Supreme Court, all right, is something that we know a lot about, and we should be getting that in as well as the details from the cartoon. Another point I'd like to make is that you can see here clearly that in the mark scheme the answers are split. I'd love to see 2 paragraphs for this in the response, and then the examiner can't argue that this has not been doing both aspects, and has to give you 7 marks.